Hello everybody, welcome to Recovery Lab TV. My name is Chris, I'm your coach and sports therapist, and today's video is catered towards those looking to or those who are racing IRONMAN Wales. This video is a swim breakdown. It is to kind of help all of you to kind of relax a little, kind of calm those nerves and kind of know what you're kind of going into before you go into it. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, become a part of the channel, say hello in the comment section. If you are racing, let me know in the comment section because I will be down there this year. Like every other year, I will be filming this year. So by all means, let me know if you're racing so I can kind of add you to the tracker when that is up and running in a week's time almost. So I've made a ton of notes. For those who are wondering what makes me qualified in regards to this video, if you will, one, I'm an open water swim coach. I'm a British Triathlon level 3 coach, and I am also, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've raced IRONMAN Wales specifically for 4 years and completed each time. So I have a lot of experience about this course. This was where I did my first Ironman back in 2016, and I've swam there a lot. So hopefully the tips that I chuck in are really beneficial for you. If I have missed anything that I haven't thought of, or if it's just popped my mind as I'm filming this video, by all means let me know in the comment section and let other people know what that tip is, because I promise you, no matter how small or insignificant it can be to yourself, it can help those who are kind of doing this for the first time. And let's be honest, we're all here to help each other, you know, so let's share that journey and share that wealth. So, course outline and conditions or overall, it's a 2-lap course of 3.8 kilometers or 2.4 miles. It is on Tenby, Pembrokeshire's North Beach. We've got a north and a south beach. This is on the north beach, and it includes a Aussie exit or Australian exit between each lap. So for those who don't know what an Australian exit is or an Aussie exit, it is basically where you kind of swim the lap, you come back to the beach, you kind of come out of the water, you run around. Generally we have these giant inflatable arches. You kind of run there and everyone's kind of penned in. You kind of run round onto the beach, back into the water, and then go again. And then on the last one, you kind of come out, and instead of taking the left towards the water, you take the right, and you kind of run up those zigzags, where you get your kind of, generally it's a pink bag. They have a spare pair of trainers in. You put those on because there's a long transition. It's about a kilometre long. You would chuck those trainers on. Some people take off their wetsuit. I certainly recommend taking it down to your waist if you don't take it off at all. And then just chuck your trainers on and then run up. Now, the beach kind of tends to start with all the athletes in this kind of pen. It's kind of like, so you have, say, I'm going to flip the map up this way, if you will. You've got the race start kind of archway there. You've got then the athletes, they kind of come here, go across, back down, and then all the way up, and then head towards the kind of entrance into the beach itself and kind of the ramp that you use running up towards that zigzag. Now, there tends to be 4 to 5 lanes of athletes. What I personally would recommend is start on the kind of sea side of it. So as you kind of turn into those kind of lanes, you're on the left-hand lane, and I'll explain this in a little while why it's really important to do that. So naturally you're going to have your kit on, your tri-suit, because the temperature in the water in September is roughly around 17 degrees, which is 62 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, which generally means you are always going to be wearing a wetsuit at this race. Now, it is a wide bay, so therefore we get a lot of different types of swell, lots of types of conditions. So just be aware of that, the conditions, you can have anything from flat as a mill pond two kind of 6 foot waves, if you will, right? I've been there when it's been towards the 6 foot kind of end, and I've also been there when it's literally barely a ripple in the water, and it's been beautiful. So just be aware of that. Now, sea behaviour, because it's open and exposed, it tends to lead to significant swell and tidal pull, which you will feel specifically on the second lap more than the first, okay? In previous years, we've had chop, we've had heavy waves, we've had, like I said, perfectly flat conditions. Generally, if it is a bit choppy, the kind of beach entry and exit is a little tough due to the surf. What I'd recommend is, as you kind of run in or walk in, depending on your strategy, kind of go waist deep and then kind of dive in, and then once you start swimming, just keep swimming. Unless you've kind of got excited and premature kind of dived in and you're already touching the floor, then probably best to kind of jump up and try again. But me personally, and this is my own personal preference, every time I go sea swimming, which was funny enough this morning, I'm also going again later with one of my other clients, I always walk in. You know, every race I do, I always walk in. I kind of get kind of mid-thigh deep, if you will, maybe just to the knee, depending on the swell and the conditions. And then I kind of just dive in and kind of swim that first section between the beach and the first turn buoy is where I kind of really relax my mindset. I kind of focus on counting my strokes. I will give myself this positive reinforcement, and I'll kind of really just kind of focus on relaxing my mind, relaxing my body. What I have found in the past is if you're stood on the side and you're kind of just stood there waiting, you haven't really warmed up, and you then all of a sudden get excited, you kind of, the gun goes off, you run out of the kind of pen, if you will, and all of a sudden that spikes your heart rate, spikes your body with adrenaline, and then you have to then really kind of calm yourself down. So what I tend to do is, whilst I'm in the queue, I am the guy that will swing my arms around, I will jump up and down, I will squat, I will open up my legs and kind of really stretch out, really loosen my body, and then I give myself that kind of parameter between the beach and that first turn buoy to kind of really warm up, just in case my shoulders are stiff and I'm not really feeling into it. The moment I then turn that buoy is the moment I start my race, you know. That allows me to kind of calm down. It allows my brain to go, right, okay, well, if I don't feel too good right now, that's okay. I'm still in the warm-up phase, you know. And then what happens then is kind of like my mind relaxes, and then generally between the beach and the first buoy is when I are kind of like, say, a quarter of the way through, halfway through, I'm generally feeling pretty good, right? So, because that beach is quite open and exposed, generally you have the bay like so, and you have the current and the kind of the swell, if you will, and if there's any wind, it will come across diagonally like so. So as you're heading out towards that first buoy, expect to see like a banana shape, or like a reverse banana kind of going out. So most people are going to get pushed over towards the harbour. Now, what I would recommend is, as you're sighting, that first turn buoy is directly in front of that Owl and I kind of station house, if you will, where you have that off ramp. So you're going to see that as you're sighting, and then just underneath the kind of ramp of it is generally where that buoy is. As you're swimming out towards it, and this is the reason why I said stay left in as you turn into the queue, into those turnstiles. Reason if you're left is as you go out, you tend to be on the left side of everybody, so you're closer to that buoy and those kind of 100-meter markers that are kind of going out towards that kind of turn buoy. That way you have everybody on this right hand side of you, and you're kind of almost using them as like a bowling alley where those kind of barriers are up on the sides. You kind of use them to kind of keep you straighter. Now, if you are right-handed, for example, and you turn in a little bit more, and you are aware that you already drift right because the way you pull is slightly that way. You need to over exaggerate that. So if you're aiming towards that turn buoy and that's your 12 o'clock, I would probably aim towards 10 o'clock and allow yourself to get drifted over, so you land at 12 as opposed to aim for 12 and accidentally hit 2 o'clock just because it's crawled you over. What that's going to do is add on extra meters. That's also going to add on extra time, and then what you'll end up doing is as you get towards the buoy, you're going to have to take a wide C pattern as you kind of turn that buoy. Now typically, because of the dynamic of that kind of first 400 meters, if you will, or that first stretch to that kind of turn buoy, that kind of buoy 1, what happens is as you turn, it leaves it very open. So it's quite congested between kind of the beach and the first turn buoy. After that, it's quite open because a lot of people have spread out wide. So once you get around that kind of buoy, just be aware that quite a lot of people, where it's been quite packed and potentially you've had to kind of draw your elbows out just so you've got a bit of space. Just be aware that that second, the moment you turn that first buoy, from buoy 1 to buoy 2, it spreads out a lot. So there's a lot of width there. Now, just be aware that between buoy 1 and buoy 2 is where that current's going to be, especially on the second lap, right? It's really important to note that. It's also the longest stretch. And because you can't really see the buildings either side, or there's nothing really to kind of the shoreline to really look at because you're quite far out, it's the moment where it plays a lot of mind games with you. So it's that stretch where traditionally people kind of tend to panic. They don't feel like they're making any progress, and they quite often call for assistance. So during that kind of stage where from the beach to kind of buoy 1, if you will, I kind of think that a lot of people have already talked themselves out of the swim before they've got in the water. So those people are already panicking internally. They've kind of gone in that water and that panic has kind of got the better of them. And then generally they're the ones getting pulled in that section. Between buoy 1 and buoy 2, you've kind of listened to those voices all the way through. You've kind of turned that corner and then you're really not making progress. But the reality is you are making progress. It just feels like a treadmill. So keep your head down, keep moving, give yourself a job, use those kind of buoys in between to kind of target. You know, they're every 100 meters. So just count those down and then get on someone's toes, because naturally it's the only section that you're really allowed to draft, and it can save between 20 and 25% of energy. So simply just catching on to someone who's generally the same pace as you and then sitting on their toes is going to allow you to just save a little bit of extra energy. And then what I tend to do is kind of leapfrog from one group to another group to another group. And what that allows me to do is just have a little bit of an interval in between each one. Now, as you're heading across and saving that energy, that buoy is going to be towards that kind of cliff on the left-hand side. Now, as you're kind of turning buoy 2 and then there's a slight turn to buoy 3, generally what happens is as you turn, you think you're taking a direct left turn, when in reality it's only a slight left turn to buoy 3 and then you turn. Now that kind of buoy 3, if you will, is slightly closer towards the cliff face and it's directly underneath. There's a house on the cliff face. So if you are struggling, use that cliff face wall to aim for. And then as soon as you turn buoy 3, what you're going to find is then it's going to help you back towards the kind of the big rock, if you will, where kind of you're getting out of the water, slightly left of that. Although when you're coming in, it's going to be slightly to the right of that. Now, if it's choppy, what I would say is always look up. Now, I'm going down Friday. I'm doing a sea swim on Saturday morning, so you're all welcome if you want to come along. It's going to be at race start time, so it's going to be at 7 o'clock in the morning. I will be there on North Beach swimming with a group of my athletes. So if you want to come along, come and introduce yourself. Purely because we do a nice chilled out swim, kind of roughly out towards where the boats are. We turn round and I get people to sight. Purely because when you're in the water, you have a different perspective and it's nice and relaxed. We get all the questions out, we get all the anxiety out, we talk about things, and when we go, right, okay, when we're out, what can you see? If you can't see the buoys because there's waves or there's people, what can you see directly above the buoy? Is it a particular colour house? Now Tenby is brilliant because there's colourful houses and apartments along the coastal line, so you could sight the pink house, for example, or the blue house or the yellow house, depending on your perspective. The more you then do that, the more you're going to then hit that target. As you get closer and closer, you can bring in that kind of vision and really narrow it. Now, in regards to kind of like your stroke adaptation, the adapting of your kind of swim technique, if you will, what I would highly recommend in Tenby is use a slightly shorter, powerful stroke to handle any potential swell. So instead of kind of reaching out and really gliding and stretching it out, just bring it back a little, bring that elbow in, use a little bit more forearm and kind of power that and increase that cadence. So it's kind of less, although you're using more power, you're also kind of using less energy because of the cadence, if you will. You know, if you're kind of reducing the cadence and using more power, then naturally you're going to get more tired. So try to use shorter, more powerful, but increase the cadence as you're doing so. It's great practice if you have a finished tempo trainer to use that during your training, so then that way the cadence becomes automatic. But obviously if you haven't used one of those already, then just try to keep an eye on that cadence and so on. Whilst you're using kind of your sighting technique, a head up sighting technique is going to be key for visibility, especially when you're going out into the surf, because those waves are going to lift yourself. Just be aware that you do not want to breathe forward. You want to tuck your head down, bring your chin to your shoulder almost, and really kind of get that wave, that breath kind of coming alongside the body. So it's kind of hitting you here, and just be aware when you're going out, it's going to come from this direction. So breathing to your right hand side is probably going to be best on the way out. Between buoy 1 and buoy 2, just be aware that it's probably now going to be better to breathe towards your left hand side, just because those waves are going to be coming from the outside on the right shoulder. Now, that doesn't mean you can't breathe to the right hand side, but it might mean that you want to just tuck that head a little bit more, just so you can kind of get that kind of breath out. If you're kind of coming through and then looking up and sighting, and your mouth is still open, you're probably going to catch a few kind of drops of water in your mouth. So just be aware of that, okay? Now, what I tend to do if it's really flat is kind of those crocodile eyes. So I will look at my fingers as I'm kind of pulled back, and then as I've come up, I'm kind of using my hand to kind of point to the direction that I'm aiming for, okay? So that is a great way of kind of narrowing that vision down and using your hand as a visual guide. Are you pointing towards the target? If you're not and your hand is going in a different direction, it's going to influence your body in that direction in which that hand is aiming towards, okay? I tend to breathe every kind of 3 strokes. I also tend to sight every two times, if you will. So I'm doing 6 strokes, then sighting. Now, if the swell or conditions are quite choppy, then every time I breathe, I will sight. You know, it makes life a little bit more challenging, if you will, but what it does is reduces the likelihood of me going off course and adding to that swim. So as much as it kind of might throw your body out of alignment, you're going to be saving energy over the long term, because you can never oversight, you can always undersight, and next thing you know, you're way off course, if you will. Try and align your breathing with the wave of the rhythm of the waves. Try to avoid inhaling that seawater. So if you can breathe bilaterally, then that's going to be a real beneficial element to your swimming. But just be aware of that, because naturally, if you can use that kind of rhythm of the wave, then naturally, as the wave's coming up, you can either choose to go over it, or you can stretch out a little bit longer and kind of go under it as that kind of wave goes over you, and you kind of duck dived underneath it, and you come out the back end. So you're kind of going to battle those waves a little less. Now, race psychology and race strategies. The crowd are naturally going to energize you and raise that kind of environment. Being there on kind of Tenby's North Beach, they have flames going off. You have that typical famous Ironman AC/DC tune that kind of gets you going. You've got the Welsh national anthem going. And I'll never forget the first time I did Ironman Wales. My friend came along, and it was their first time in Tenby. And they stood right at the top of Tenby, just above the zigzags, and we looked down, and he said to me, it reminds him of a coliseum. And for me, it's kind of always stuck with me, because in a lot of respects, it was a good analogy for that in regards to Ironman Wales, because if you go in the water or you're down on that beach and you look up before you go in a swim, take it all in, because there are wall-to-wall kind of supporters, fans, family, loved ones, all watching from literally one end of the bay all the way to the other end, to the harbour, full of people coming down to spectate, to support you along your journey. Take that moment in, breathe it out, let go of it. Don't hold on to it. Don't be consumed by it, because I know you've worked really hard for this. You've trained anything up to a year for this, maybe even multiple years to get to this stage where you're at this start line. Understand all the things that you've done to overcome that and kind of get to that journey. I tell a lot of people turning up on a day is just showing everyone else that you're an Ironman. What you've done to actually become an Ironman was all the days that you turned up, when you turned up for yourself, when everybody else was in bed, everyone else was sleeping, when it was raining and no one wanted to go out, but you did. Those are the moments that made you who you need to be in order to achieve this goal. So just remember that, okay? Whilst that atmosphere is building, try and do the opposite. Take control of your breath work, by doing a simple practice of box breathing. So breathing in for, say, 3 seconds. I tend to do 4. So I tend to breathe in for 4 seconds. I hold it for 4 seconds. I breathe out for 4 seconds. And then I hold that for 4 seconds. And then I repeat. I do it all through my nose. Reason why I do it nasally is because by breathing in through your nose, it controls your nervous system. It takes you out that fight or flight system into that kind of calming parasympathetic system and allows you to relax. It takes 2 breaths so 2 breath cycles to kind of take you out that fight or flight system and into that calming system. The more you practice this as you're warming up on the beach, the more you're going to allow yourself to kind of really calm that anxiety down and then really kind of go into that water feeling really prepared. Okay, like I said, I tend to do a lot of kind of warm-up stuff, like kind of dry warm-up. So I'm loosening my body, I'm waving my arms around, I'm kicking my legs up and stuff, and just let people know that you're doing that, and people will give you space. I promise you. Break down the swim mentally. So 1 lap at a time. 1 buoy at a time. Give yourself a goal, because quite often a lot of us will then start thinking emotionally, and that anxiety will get the better of us, and that we can't do this, something touched us, something this, that, and the other. We're overwhelmed by the moment. Give yourself a job to do. Like I said, I count my strokes, I reinforce and tell myself that I'm doing well. I practice a lot of gratitude when I'm on the beach. The fact that my family have come, the fact that I've had a load of support from you guys, the fact that I'm able to do this in the first place, and to do this sport that I love and have this moment that I really want to do that allows me to be me. For me, I practice gratitude. I look for the sunlight piercing through the clouds. I look for the glimmer on the water. I look for the magical moments that I'm able to do this sport, you know. So the more gratitude I practice, the more I all of a sudden find those incredible moments in potentially dark times, you know. So try and break it down, think one buoy at a time, give yourself a number, you know, count to that number as you're doing that, and then restart that number, you know. The more you can break it down, all of a sudden it's absolutely achievable, I promise you. And then that self-seeding kind of rolling start, it's going to be kind of every 10 seconds, if you will. So what that does is it helps ease congestion in the water. So take your time with that. You know, if people want to run past you, then let them. Remember that this is your race, you know, and you don't have to race anybody else unless you are at the top end, you know, and you're looking for spots and looking for kind of World Championship allocation slots. Then just remember that you're racing your own race, and the more you can just kind of find that flow state and just let it go, all of a sudden you'll just do what you've been training to do, okay? Now, preparation tips. Train on beaches with surf. You know, I understand that, like, I am incredibly lucky to be able to have a beach 20 minutes down the road from my house. But practice running in and out of the surf. Practice water entries, practice water exits. This morning I was speaking to a client and I said, just be aware when you're coming out, it's got to feel like the wave is pulling you back, but then just work with the water, keep swimming. And as you feel that wave kind of push you forward, really stretch out and glide as much as you can, and then start swimming again as you feel it then. Once you then start feeling the sand consistently, not just once, because in Tenby, sometimes you have these mounds of sand. What you'll find is you'll touch the sand once, you'll pop up, and then all of a sudden the other side of that mound is deep water again. So make sure you're consistent with that sand touching, or because it's clear water down there, obviously if you can see it within a fingertips reach, then just be aware that obviously you can stand. Now that last couple hundred meters, I would kick like crazy. Reason being is, depending on how fast you are, you've either been swimming for an hour where you've been predominantly using your upper body, or you've been swimming for anything up to 2 hours and 20 minutes where you've been kind of using that upper body. Those legs are going to feel like jelly because the blood isn't necessarily in them as much as you can. Now, if you can kick that last 200 meters, those legs are going to be going like crazy. All that blood is then going to kind of move towards that body. So then when you do pop up, you're going to be less likely to have jelly legs, is which I call it. And you're going to have a little bit more control as you're kind of running into that Aussie exit, and then eventually into those zigzags and up towards transition. Cold water exposure is key. If you haven't been swimming in open water, now is the time to kind of start sitting in your bath or going into cold water showers. Now, I said earlier that it's roughly around 17 degrees, which isn't that cold, but if you can allow yourself to get used to colder conditions, then regardless of the conditions on the day, it's going to be okay. You know, take your time. I find, because I have asthma, the more you control your breathing going into these things and practice that box breathing, the more it's going to help control your asthma. It's also going to help control any anxiety, so you're not kind of getting yourself into this emotional state, okay? Now, familiarization with landmarks, right? Like I said, the day before I go in the water and I just have a little look from the water's perspective. What is from this side of that angle where I'm heading out towards the harbour and I'm heading out towards the RNLI building, and then what's on the other side? You have landmarks like Goscar Rock, which is that giant rock in the middle of Tenby North Beach. You have the lifeboat station, you have the harbour on the right hand side, you have on the cliff side that kind of single house or that hotel that is on the top of the left hand side, and then you have all these colourful houses on the kind of Tenby north side beach. As you look up the cliff, you have an array of houses that are kind of famously painted different colours. As you're in the water, have a little look to see where roughly you have the swim exit is and what is above. So if you can't see that swim exit all the time, you know that this house is particularly important for you, okay? And then last but not least is when you come out of the swim and you have those shoes in, place any gear that you have, whether you're rinsing your mouth out, whether you're sticking a gel in your mouth, in your shoes. That way when you pull your shoes out of the bag, you can quickly grab it, chuck your shoes on, and then off you go in. Now, one thing that I do to help speed up the wetsuit removal process is I will buy a little tub of baby oil, and I will put it all over my forearms and all over my legs to help kind of ease that kind of wetsuit off as I kind of slip my shoes on. Now, the shoes I tend to wear are these shoes by Vivo Barefoot. So let me have a little look for them. There you go. There we go, Surf Barefoot. So the shoes I tend to wear, give me a sec, it's really bad. Outdoor shoes. I've been using these shoes for ages in regards to triathlons. If you saw my Swansea video, a couple of you commented on how quick my transition was coming out the water, grabbing my shoes and running literally straight past. I use the Vivo Barefoot Ultra kind of IV men's shoe. Now, they're like the old-fashioned jelly shoes. They're made of bloom foam. They've got like a nice solid base on her back. They're like elasticated drawstring laces on them, and they've got a million holes in the top layer of the shoe, similar to jelly shoes, like kind of kids' beach shoes. And all you do is just slide them on. If you've got wet feet, the water, they're not made of fabric, they're made of bloom foam. So they're going to be fine, they're not going to go minging in your bag or whatever. But I've worn these for literally years and years and years. And they've allowed me to literally just chuck them on the zigzags and run up nice and quickly. And to be honest, for me, they're the perfect shoe. So check them out on Vivo Barefoot. And hopefully they can help you as well. By no means is that a push or do I gain anything from it. It's just something that I've used for years and something that might help you. Now, I hope this video helps. I hope that you let me know how you get on in this race. I'm going to be releasing more content about this race. By all means, check out all of the other videos that I have. IRONMAN Wales, like I said, I've done this 4 times, so there's a whole folder for IRONMAN Wales videos and content. There's also a new to triathlon playlist, so check that out as well if you are new to triathlon and you want to look at how to pack your bags, what you need for T1, T2, race morning, and so on and so forth. And if in doubt, reach out to me either through this channel in the comment section, head over to the community tab, or head over to my Instagram, which is IamChris_Hill or Recovery Lab UK, and drop me a message there and I will get back to each and every one of you, okay? Otherwise, please hit that subscribe button. It's helping grow the channel massively. I want to be able to create more content for you, and in order to do that, I need a steady income stream. So by simply just hitting that subscribe button and watching the videos like you're doing is helping that process happen. So thank you very much, Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care.